Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring an absolutely epic story, the persistence of Bhagiratha. We're going to look at what it really takes to carry a massive generational weight and literally turn the impossible into history. So I want you to start by just asking yourself a quick question. How many times would you try something before finally just throwing in the towel? Giving up. 3 times? 10 times? Now imagine carrying a dream so massive, so incredibly daunting, that even your grandfather couldn't pull it off. And then your father tried his absolute hardest and, well, he failed too. What do you do with a dream that has already defeated the very people you look up to the most?
It's a crazy dilemma, right? Thankfully, most of us will never actually have to face something quite like this. But just think about it for a second. What if your dream literally took generations to achieve? The logical part of our human brain is hardwired to protect us from endless failure. For most of us, after a few solid attempts, the completely normal logical response is to pivot. You say, okay, this is impossible, and you just move on. But today we're looking at the stark contrast between that supernormal instinct to quit and the choice to pursue a goal that demands a level of perseverance that is frankly unimaginable. We're diving into the story of a young prince who flat out refused to accept the word impossible.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, The Impossible Dream. 60,000 souls waiting for peace. To really understand this prince, we have to look at the massive backstory, the incredible burden he inherited. He had the literal task of bringing a holy, heavenly river down to earth just to save his family. Which brings us to part 2, 3 generations of failure, when giving up seems logical. And honestly, this is the exact point where quitting makes complete, 100% sense. The monumental task of bringing the River Ganga to earth wasn't just some weekend DIY project. It had morphed into a full-blown generational curse.
The weight of the past here was just immense. Let's trace it. First generation, King Sagar himself, the father of the fallen souls. He tried with all his might, and he failed. Second generation, his grandson, Anshuman, stepped up and took up the mantle. He also failed. Third generation, King Dilipa spent years in dedicated prayer, desperately hoping to succeed where his ancestors couldn't. But he too failed. So you have 3 entire generations of powerful kings with all their vast resources and devotion just hitting a massive brick wall. And that brings us to the 4th generation, Bhagiratha. He's the guy inheriting this massive 3-generation-long track record of absolute, undeniable failure.
Naturally, when Bhagiratha became king, he was immediately surrounded by all this well-meaning advice. Everyone around him was basically saying, look man, forget this impossible dream. Just rule your kingdom, enjoy your life, and be happy. But Bhagiratha's response? It's exactly why we're breaking down this story today. He said, a difficult goal is not impossible, it simply demands greater perseverance. I mean, wow. He completely rejected the whole premise that his ancestors' failures somehow dictated his own future. He just reframed the entire problem. It wasn't that the goal couldn't be done, it was just that the true price of perseverance hadn't been fully paid yet.
Part 3, The Ultimate Penance. Leaving the kingdom behind, because Bhagiratha didn't just, talk a good game. He took immediate, radical action. He handed over his entire kingdom to his ministers, headed straight to the Himalayas, and started paying that price of perseverance. And let me tell you, this was not some quick weekend meditation retreat. Days became months, months became years. Our sources describe how he meditated without moving through the scorching heat of the summers, the freezing, bone-chilling winters, and the absolute downpour of relentless heavy rains. He had wild animals roaming right next to him, and through all of this extreme exposure to the elements, his physical body naturally became incredibly weak. But, and this is the absolute core of his character right here, as his body weakened, his internal determination only grew stronger. His mind essentially became an unstoppable force. Eventually, that unstoppable force yielded results. But it wasn't as simple as just checking a single box. This turned out to be a really intense dual challenge. Step 1. After years of grueling penance, Lord Brahma finally appeared, totally pleased with Bhagiratha's perseverance, and granted the wish for Ganga to descend to earth. Bhagiratha rejoiced. I mean, you would, right? But then it hits him, the terrifying realization of Step 2. The mighty cosmic force of Ganga falling directly from heaven would literally shatter the earth. Think about that. Imagine getting to the absolute finish line of a multi-generational goal only to realize that actually completing it will destroy the world. Most people would have just stopped right there, not Bhagiratha.
he immediately started another agonizingly long penance, this time to Lord Shiva, just to solve this brand new catastrophic problem.
So years passed once more, but finally we reached the climax of our myth. Lord Shiva appeared and agreed to help. He positioned himself to receive the crushing force of Ganga right in his matted locks, acting almost like a giant shock absorber, softening her impact and gently releasing her down to the earth. As the river flowed behind Bhagiratha, she finally washed over the ashes of his ancestors. The 60,000 souls were purified. A dream that had remained painfully unfinished for generations was finally, completely fulfilled.
Part 4. Bhagiratha Prayatna. The birth of a concept. You see, the sheer, unimaginable scale of what Bhagiratha accomplished here permanently altered the very language used to describe human effort.
Now, what's really interesting about this whole concept is how this epic, multi-generational myth gets distilled into a highly practical tool, Bhagiratha Prayatna. Literally, it translates to Bhagiratha's effort, but it's come to mean any extraordinary effort undertaken with unwavering determination. By defining it this way, the story just leaps out of the ancient Himalayas and lands right in the center of our modern lives. It literally becomes a standard of measurement for our own willpower.
Part 5. Finding your own Ganga. The myth meets your reality. So, we're going to pivot sharply here from the ancient myth straight into your modern life. Because let's be real, we all have something that feels impossible, right? Something that feels like it basically requires divine intervention to actually achieve.
For teenagers, young adults, and frankly, any of us out there trying to better ourselves, the source material draws a super direct line to our monumental modern tasks. Your personal Ganga isn't a celestial river. It might be cracking incredibly competitive exams, like the JEE, NEET, or UPSC. It might be the crushing pressure of passing your board exams with distinction. Maybe it's that incredibly steep climb of becoming a recognized sports person, an artist, a scientist, or an entrepreneur. Or perhaps it's as deeply personal as finally learning a difficult new skill or overcoming a lifelong weakness you've been battling. These goals are massive, they are daunting, and just like bringing a river down from heaven, they require your very own personal Bhagiratha Prayatna.
And this comparison brilliantly illustrates the connection. The trials of the myth meant years of isolating penance, the very real threat of wild animals, and freezing winters. But your reality? Your trials are the very real pain of academic or professional failures. It's the sheer frustration of unexpected delays. It's the constant, exhausting noise of naysayers telling you that your dream is quote-unquote impossible. This journey is not going to be easy. The elements you're battling aren't heavy rains or snowstorms. They are mental fatigue, crippling self-doubt, and that nagging temptation to just take the easy way out.
So, here is the absolute crucial point. When you are right in the thick of those modern trials, I want you to remember Bhagiratha. He didn't stop after one failure. He didn't stop after 10. He kept going until success itself had to come looking for him. The key takeaway from our explainer today is this: success does not belong to the most naturally talented. Sure, talent might give you a nice head start, but when the winters get freezing and those delays start piling up, talent is absolutely not enough. Success ultimately belongs to those who refuse to quit. Every great achievement begins with a dream, grows through persistent effort, and only blossoms through truly unwavering determination.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. The next time you are staring blankly at a textbook late at night, or you're facing a really tough day of training, or you're just feeling completely overwhelmed by a goal that seems a million miles out of reach, when you feel like you just want to give up, I want you to stop and ask yourself, if Bhagiratha could continue for years to achieve the impossible, can I not continue for just one more day? Think about that for your own life. And whatever you do, keep going.